Now I am ready to add my split rings. And the way I do that, I'm going to start with the first needle to the right of the main mark. I have my loom tool. I'm going to pull the needle forward, and that makes it just a little bit easier to get the tool into the stitch. Lift it up and just hold it for a moment, and then add the ring to the needle and replace the stitch. Then I pick up the stitch from the needle to the right and also add it to the needle with the split ring. The final step is to pick up the split ring and pull it up and off the back of the needle like that. Right there is why you want to not have stitches that are too tight. If you're really struggling, you might want to go back and lower your V-cams. So do it again. This is the next needle with a stitch. You lift up the stitch, add a split ring, replace the stitch, then get the stitch next to it, add it to the needle with the split ring. So now there are 2 stitches. Pick up the split ring, pull it up and off the back of the needle. You're going to continue like that all the way around the bottom of the cylinder until you reach the halfway point at 3 o'clock. I've finished transferring the stitches and hanging the split rings for all of the needles along the bottom half of the cylinder. One important note is you want to make sure the latches are closed, that they're tucked into the stitches when you do this. So when you lifted up the stitch and put the split ring on, make sure that the split ring was above the latch was open. We're now ready to crank. We're going to crank half a row until the main mark goes around to 3 o'clock so we can hang the other half of the cylinder. And very important, we're going to watch as the needles come by this 11 o'clock area by the V-cams. You need to make sure that each split ring falls to the back of the needle and doesn't go over the top of the needle. I'm actually going to let that one fail on purpose so I can show you how to fix it. They're much easier to fix right here rather than letting it go on. You can see this is the stitch that had the issue. The first thing to do to fix it, again, best to fix it here, but if it gets this 12 o'clock area, that's the next best place to fix it. I'm using my pick tool, the sharp one, and you want to tuck the latch into those stitches. Okay. That will make it much easier to lift the split ring then up and over and off the back of the needle. Then, very importantly, make sure you lift up the needle all the way so that the stitches are below the latch. That needs to happen, otherwise you will drop stitches as you come back into this area. Then just be sure to get your yarn all situated again so it's laying above the latches and ready to make more stitches. Now I have my main mark at 3 o'clock and I'm ready to continue hanging, transferring stitches and hanging the split rings for the bottom half of the cylinder. So you can come back when you are done all the way back around to the main mark. I've now finished hanging all of my split rings and I'm going to reset my row counter back to 0. I'm going to start cranking and just go until I finish the first round of all the split rings. Again, making sure they're falling off the back of the needles. As you start cranking around, you want to check and make sure that all of your stitches are knitting properly before you go on. So here, for example, there should be a loop of yarn around the front of every needle that doesn't have the split ring. It's very easy. You can see I just pulled it up and over. Here I have a stitch that didn't knit. It was a missed stitch. There's another whole video on deanandbean.com, a section on how to repair missed stitches. But in short, you're going to take your pick tool, go in through the stitches, and just simply lift them up and over the back of the needle. You need to make sure the split ring was at the back of the needle before you started. So after you've repaired any issues, then you're going to crank 12 rows around. Visit us at deanandbean.com and please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.